I don't know about you, but I really miss the early 2000s. Things were less crazy. Kind of makes me feel old in hindsight. But yeah, they had some good stuff back then. Ed and Eddie, Sly Cooper, Ratchet and Clank. And the topic of today's video is about one of those, Jak and Daxter, which is mainly going over the main trilogy, but I will be recommending some other ones in the series. But this is a series that basically got me to buy the PS2. My friend Wesley, I went over to his house and I played that and Sly Cooper, and I was like, "Sign me up! I want one of these. I need one of these," and I eventually got one for doing well on a report card, basically. But yeah, these are just some things I thought I should go over as a recommendation for, especially if you have a PlayStation. Like I'm boycotting Sony now because I hate them, and I have a PS4 still, but I'm not using it currently. I just will use it sometimes to play these older PS2 games that are available on PlayStation Network, like Jak and Daxter, probably Sly Cooper, and I still see if Soul Reaver's on there or the Legacy of Kain series is on there. But yeah, this is definitely a series I would recommend at least playing if you have a PlayStation and you just want some entertainment because it's funny, entertaining. The gameplay keeps you busy. And again, and I've said this before in other videos, but unless you get bored real easily, this also has replayability. But I just thought I would go over some notes I had already. The first game introduces us to the series. You play as Jak, a mute, and follows his adventures to make your friend Daxter human or elfish again after being turned into an Ottsel. Daxter provides the commentary. Precursor orbs are abundant and can be used to acquire another thing you need in the game, power cells, which you either find throughout the world of the game or you can buy with precursor orbs. And you need all these to progress in the story, so there's, I think, 101, but you only need 100 to get the ending. Unless you're a completionist, then go for that 101, but the last one's a pain in the ass. There's a combination of machinery and magic. It has a hillbilly, a gambler, a failed hero, an archaeologist, sages, a fisherman, a bird watcher, a mayor, a bunch of other people, an underwater city, miners, and so much more. And in a twist of this, and I'm not going to give complete spoilers, but a character you were looking for in the game turns out to be the bad guy in it, so that's as much of a spoiler you'll get from the first game from me. And I would basically describe this game as very nostalgic. It gives me almost a warm, fuzzy feeling playing. And it's just a simple story of you going around fighting some lurkers and skullheads and just collecting stuff. Also, doing some challenges, doing some quests. And it's just simple. It's not that complicated. It's like Doom. It's not that complicated, but less violent. And that's about all I can really say about the first one. Jak 2 is a bit different because, well, it follows Jak and Daxter's adventures in the future in Haven City and helping a faction called the Underground, as well as various individuals. Jak can finally talk and becomes more of an anti-hero figure, but he also has a dark form now called Dark Jak. Not a lot of top tier was going on in the brain department when they thought all this up, but hey, it's good. Worked back then. It gets darker, literally and figuratively, and more mature. To quote Super Butterburns, it has all the stuff established in Jak and Daxter, but sets it on fire, blows holes in its head, blasts the Lincoln Park, hands you a pack of cigarettes and starts screaming the squares. Goes a little Grand Theft Auto. Oh, I'm sorry, the unquote. The Grand Theft Auto part was my bit. The precursor orbs are now collectibles and currency. There's no more power cells. Introduces guns into the gameplay. The Peacemaker is still the best. Introduces a little Tony Hawk element via the hoverboard. Introduces a myriad of colorful characters. Introduces Sig, one of the greatest friends in the history of games. There's a twist revelation about Jak's origin. Daxter has more of a role in the game. You can play him a little. And yeah, this one's a little bit darker. I was actually surprised I was able to get it when I was a kid, but this is where Jak and Daxter went a little bit more edgy. That's what some people like to say about it. I liked it, to be perfectly honest. It's kind of like Death Wish. It was a product of its time, is how I would describe it, and I loved it. The game felt very edgy, kind of not depressing, but kind of like it would fit in a Linkin Park song, which I liked at the time. And you basically, yeah, you go through these. You're introduced to a new city called. Oh, did I say that already? I'll say it again. You're introduced to Haven City, and yeah, you go through. You can explore this place. You can also go to places outside of the city, but not that very far from it. Although in the first game, in the war, there was this thing called a lurker shark that would kill you if you went too far off the land. In this game, there's a little drone that'll kill you. And there are some hard missions in this game, let me tell you, like the one at the docks. That one tested my sanity, I'm not going to lie. It made me want to break my PS2. Like, I'd probably smashed my controller a couple times playing that one. But yeah, it was like, oh, the Lord is testing me today. I'm going to lose it. I'm going to lose it. I'm going to have to hurt someone if I don't pass this mission. That's how hard it was. And that wasn't even the most difficult one. The one that made me quit that one was the slot machine one. Or not the slot machine, you know those games where a head pops up and you have to hit it with a mallet? There's a game like that in the story that you have to beat. And it took me years to figure out how to do that. Because at the time I wasn't that very versatile with controllers at the time. But yeah, there's also kind of a mech you can use. I actually liked that. My favorite part were still the guns in this game. This is actually how I got into loving guns in games, because before that I didn't really care. After this I loved them. They were fun. This is also what got me into the hoverboard. This also made me kind of like skateboard moves, even though I've never been on a skateboard. And this one was also kind of wholesome for me. It was fun. Even when I play it now, there's a nostalgic feeling to it. It reminds me of how I felt when I played it back then. And it kind of just makes me miss the time that was the time of when I first got it. And one of the characters in the game that has been an ally of yours, there's a twist with him also at the end. But yeah, there's crazy people. There's this one guy, he thought you were a metalhead, which is an enemy in the game. So he starts shooting at you. And Daxter's like, Jak, do something. This guy's crazy. Hey, are you Finn? And we're here to help. Stay back. Hey, if we were here to kill you, you wouldn't be talking right now. Oh, friends? Wait, just you two? Where's the army? Oh, actually, no, where's the army? And Daxter goes, we're it. Just you two? What do they think I'm worth? And then Jak goes, I'm beginning to wonder that myself. Look, if you want, you can stay here and be metal meat. But Daxter and I are leaving before those monsters get back. And the dialogue was just good. It was funny. Kind of like the first game, but the first game had a different kind of humor to it. And the third game, Jak 3, it again follows Jak and Daxter's adventures, but this time in two cities and the Wasteland. There's more gun mods. You're introduced to a new city called Spargus. More information about Jak's origin is revealed. You get a second form, Light Jak. You again get to play as Daxter for a little bit. It's more lighthearted than the second game. Has a little of a Mad Max feeling while in the Wasteland. You learn the truth about the precursors. And this one is probably my favorite in the series. This is the one I recommend playing the most because of how much content it has. It's probably not the best story-wise, and there's probably some lacking in it. But I thought it was the best, in my honest opinion. And these are the three I would recommend playing the most. The other ones, Jak X and Daxter, them I do recommend playing. The Frontier one I would avoid because, well, it wasn't made by Naughty Dog, but also it was made by a different developer, and I don't think it was as great. It was fun to play because I was just happy to get a Jak and Daxter game, but it felt lacking in some regards. It was still fun, though. And just to go over the game overall, it has, as I've mentioned before, nostalgia, fun gameplay. Overall, a great story. If I had to rate it, it would be 5 out of 5 power cells, but then again, I'm biased on this one. And sadly, this series was also shelved for a different project, kind of like Deus Ex, except that was shelved for what I've heard is a shitty Marvel game. Jak and Daxter was shelved because, well, they were trying to go back to it, but then Naughty Dog just decided to scrap it, the idea, and just made The Last of Us. I'm not going to lie, I think the game's overrated, and from what I've heard of the sequel, I'm glad I never got into it. So yeah, they shelved a superior series to make a new one that I think is not as good, but then again, like I've said, I'm biased on this one. But it's fun to play. It's fun to play. The story is good. The humor in it. Well, there's this one good scene that's kind of reminiscent of The Wizard of Oz. It involves the precursors and Daxter. I'll let you find that out on your own. And that's in the third one. That's something I forgot to mention. And just, it's not as depressing as The Last of Us. The Last of Us felt like how someone once described the '70s movies. It was like they gave you a shotgun and told you to kill yourself, basically. And yeah, the '70s had some depressing movies like Death Wish. I mean, you watch that guy kill some shitbags, but it's still depressing. His daughter's still been raped, his wife is still gone, and then then his daughter dies, and not good. It's really depressing. But I think that's all I can really say about it without giving away spoilers. But I will say this. I'm sorry about the buts, but I like to say that a lot. If there's anything else I can say about it, it's that the antagonists and the villains of this game really stand out to me. They have this. To me, they were iconic in a way. Baron Praxis in the second game, he really stood out. I thought he came off as a complex guy to me. I didn't know whether to hate him or kind of sympathize with what he was doing sometimes. I mean, he was still the villain and he was still a bad guy who did messed up stuff, but his reasons I felt were sympathetic. Kind of like Dooku, why he left the Jedi. I found his reasons to be sympathetic in the expanded universe. And also, like the Legacy of Kain series, there's a lot to take inspiration from here. There's lots of stuff you can just look at and say, yeah, this could be used in something else. Like with my comic scripts, there's a location in the setting called Old Town. I took that from Jak and Daxter. Also, one of the guns in my comic is called a Peacemaker. I took that from Jak and Daxter 2 and 3. There's one of the gun mods is called the Peacemaker. It switches between 4 different types. One is like a scatter gun. The other one is like a rifle. I forget what it's called, but that was actually my other favorite one to use. The third one was like a Gatling machine gun. But it was portable. And the fourth one was the Peacemaker, which was the most deadly one in the second one. And then the third one, it gave 2 expansions to all 4 of these different versions of the gun. But yeah, these were good. And I liked how they expanded on them with the games, and I think they've aged well. I mean, the graphics are kind of hit and miss, but then again, these were PS2 games that have been ported to the PS4 and maybe 5. I don't really know about the 5. And yeah, I would just recommend this game to someone who's looking at older games because they've become annoyed with newer games and they just want a political free game. This is free of politics in my opinion. There are politics in the game, but it has to do with the totalitarian government, and that's in the game, not the real world government. And it's about a guy. It's just a simple story about a guy going on adventures. One of them is about revenge, but he kind of still has some sense of a humor to it. And yeah, those are just my thoughts. If you have the game, let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you haven't played it, yeah, I recommend this. It's fun, as I've mentioned repeatedly, and ubiquitously. And I just recommend it to anyone who's looking for something to do. And yeah, that's it for now. Have a nice day, and remember the game was rigged from the start.